Hey everybody! Welcome once again to a Low on Health year-end review. This one is for 2020 and it's going over life events.
I wonder what was the big thing that happened in 2020.
Yes. We have two big things actually that happened in 2020, but the main one of course being COVID, which is why everybody's still wearing masks and should be wearing masks and getting vaccinated,
If they're
etc., etc., etc. So we're going to go ahead and take these off right now so the bit's over. Hooray, the bit's over.
Hooray, the bit's over.
So 2020 happened. So we're going to go over life events, and of course, COVID is the biggest of the life event. It impacted everybody, and then we'll go over some more of that. But the thing that affected a lot of people is work and how the day-to-day life of everybody changed. Our work decided to do a two-day off, 2-day on work schedule.
With two different
groups.
Contingents.
So you have like a team A and a team B in every department.
Team A and a team B.
They would get split off. So that was very nice because in the beginning we didn't know really how to do it, but our work had to continue. Like, we're essential workers. The court system still needs to happen. People still commit crimes, or crimes still need to get addressed. Court still needs to happen. So for the first roughly 4 months, from let's say March to
March to June, or March.
July.
No, it was March to July.
We had a 2-day on, 2-day off schedule, which was nice.
And annoying at the same time because we were on two different teams.
Which was fine, but that doesn't help our exposure. But it did give us time to ourselves to do stuff. And then very early on in the pandemic, I made a little bit of a bet.
A little bit of a bet.
I had made the determining fact. Come here. I had
Wiggle butt.
looked at the numbers and saw where China was at a certain point in time and realized they had estimated like 5,000 deaths within the first 2 months. And granted, the first couple months, nobody really knew what was going on. So I understood that was crazy. But after a month or two, they had stabilized. Or at least their reporting numbers had stabilized.
Their reporting numbers. Except I had been following the rumors and the trickles of information since February. And knowing how inept our country was being run, and how
I would find it to be
conceited and ignorant Americans are.
I would find it very hard to believe that America would have more than 100,000 deaths at the end of 2020, basing that on how China had done it. But of course, they can be more draconian, but they also have more people, so maybe less control. Granted, their numbers might not be true, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm like, we shouldn't hit 100,000. That'd be crazy.
And I was like, we will absolutely hit 100,000 by the end of this year.
So sure of myself that I was like, you know what? We're probably eventually going to get a dog. If we hit 100,000, we'll get a dog. If we hit that before the end of the year, we'll get a dog. So we hit 100,000 in the U.S. in May-ish.
I would have to go back and look at my journal notes.
I want to say around May-ish. In which case, I'm like, oh, great. Now we have to get a dog.
That's why we have a dog.
And we did joke at the time, double or nothing, 200,000, and we'll get married.
And I refused to take you up on that offer because I didn't think that we would end up losing 200,000 people, but because I did not want to trap you into that situation, whereas a dog is something that you had already agreed to, that we would get at some point in time in the future.
And luckily we have this place now that we actually luckily bought last year in 2019, which would have been, because it would have been very difficult to buy a place now, maybe cheaper, maybe. But a little bit more difficult logistically getting movers and helpers and all that stuff.
We've been yawning.
So the idea is we then started doing doggy research to see what we wanted to get. We did research. We have stairs. So we wanted an athletic dog.
I wanted it to be a small breed.
We want it to be a dog that we didn't grow up with or have in our past.
So we're not just reliving nostalgia. We're allowing the dog to be themselves rather than just, it's, Gizmo or whatever.
So we came down to Papillons, which is this breed, the one with the big ears and the small.
The big ears, they're known for their really long ear fringe.
You also see them a bunch in the dog shows and agility training and all that jazz.
Her father was a Canadian Grand Champion in agility.
So that's how we have got Kai, which you'll see here, and we'll go a little bit more in depth with her in a second or two. But that was the second big thing, is us getting a dog and retrofitting the place for a dog. Hey.
And as you see, she has a cute little face mask on her face.
So there she goes. So she has gone off off the floor.
Go to make mischief.
Luckily, she is relatively quiet. She's a good dog.
Yeah, she's for the most part, she's extremely well behaved and very intelligent.
Very happy. Like, I think that she's like top, like the
They are
eighth smartest dog breed, period. Top of the small dog toy breed.
Yeah, of the toy breeds, Papillons are the most intelligent, and yeah, I think that number is right. Like for overall dog breeds, so they're one of the smartest dog breeds. They're also known as the sheephound of the toy dogs.
But nonetheless, that's Kai. So let's get down to some of the more other stuff that we kind of went over in 2020. These are just going to be kind of snippets from my social media and whatnot. I did a lot of gaming in 2020 because, as I mentioned before, all that extra time off. I ended up playing 295 video games. If you look at the other things that we've done, the highest number of stuff that we did. I also finally hit over 500,000 gamer score and had like potentially my biggest month of gamer score increase, which some people may or may not know about, but it means that I played a lot of video games. Ironically, this March, I hit 600,000, so I did 100,000 quicker than I did the previous one and had a 15,000 gamer score month, so I've actually already beaten that from last year. Now, because when COVID started, Animal Crossing was about to come out, and people are like, hey, everybody's getting on board with this. Maybe Rose would like to do that. So we then looked into getting a DS, which became extremely, extremely, extremely difficult
to find
one.
Used or new.
Yeah, and not a light, because you want to make sure you can detach it and hook it up to a TV, et cetera, et cetera. I said you were a quiet dog. So luckily, my nephew got a DS for Christmas ages ago, and I was like, hey, can I buy it off you? I know. And then he was like, sure. So I, gave him X number of dollars for it. But he's a kid, and he had painted the whole back of the DS. Luckily, we had all the cords, had all the components, everything worked out fine, no scratches on the screen, but I had to spend some time actually cleaning the DS. But we got Animal Crossing. Here is myself and Rose in Animal Crossing during Easter. And she has been playing it a bunch, and she enjoys it a lot. And it's like the first real video game that she has sunk her teeth into since like Pokemon. Which was the last Pokemon you played?
No, it's probably the last one that I really sunk my teeth into besides what's that? State of Decay.
State of Decay.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, she was playing a lot of Animal Crossing. A lot of our friends got Animal Crossing, and they were also playing it. So Animal Crossing definitely had a big moment. Still actually continues to have a moment. But
I'm still playing it.
So this is like one of the first Nintendo systems are like that I bought in forever. Actually, the first of 3 systems I bought this year, actually in 2020, believe it or not. No, not in 2020.
Look at a face mask.
Now, because of Game Pass, one of our friends, they also got Game Pass and were playing it. Yeah. And I consulted with them saying, hey, these are kind of maybe the games you need to focus on. And they wrote down a long list. This is their list of what they were going to play.
Yeah, Marcus had a lot of time to play in 2020
It was very fun to have somebody kind of playing the same games at the same time as me, but like everybody else, can't play at the same rate that I play it. So that was cool. Unfortunately, also in 2016...
My car died.
Her car didn't necessarily die, but it comes to that point when you keep wondering, are you keep putting more money into an old car or get a new car?
And you had been wanting me to get a new car.
We had discussed this so many times in the past couple of years.
Yeah, and I was like, you know what? Let's look at stuff.
And to get Kai, we picked her up from a breeder, so we had to go across the state. So we wanted to make sure we had a vehicle that could
make
do
that trip safely.
My Jeep could do it, but we wanted a more fuel economic and size too. Yeah, comfortable vehicle.
So, and also because we wanted to have a vehicle that we can fit stuff in.
Yes. And that also brings us to Kai, as I mentioned before. Lost a bet, did a bunch of research, and that's us picking her up from the breeder. That's her as her little self.
That's when she was only 10. No, she was 11 weeks old. She is now 11 months old.
Bye again. So it's fun having a dog. I had a dog in my youth. You have had dogs in your youth.
I've always had dogs. We've always had dogs.
New that we have.
I like tiny dogs. She's very smart and she's very sweet and she sleeps with us. And the little storage room
Yeah,
under the
we'll
stairs.
We'll get to it.
Yeah.
So we started, of course, taking a bunch of pictures of her and videos of her, and we started KaiViking.com, which is me just buying a web address. Luckily, that's her name. It's Kai, middle name VI, and King. She has Rose's last name. That makes it easier for vet visits and such.
I did that logo.
She did that logo, of course.
You're like, I want the Lions thing, with the roar.
So we have this. Of course, she's barking now. So this is Kai Pup Date. So this is essentially us getting the dog, and this kind of also shows off real quick.
We did.
The one thing I don't like about dogs is having to take them out all the time, so we kind of engineered her a little bathroom. So you will see here in this video that we, trying to tuck over myself too much, we have one of those little doors under those little closets underneath the stairs. So I essentially wanted to create a door for her to go from the bathroom, because their bathroom is really like her den. So she can go through that doggy door into the little area, and we have puppy pads, we have filters and air movement and deodorizing. We also have a camera in there, so we know when she goes, has gone to the bathroom and hasn't gone to the bathroom. We keep track of that time-wise. So that was our solution for that, and it's actually worked out very well. We still take her out like once a day. That's not even how it looks now. It's been updated a bunch. But nonetheless, that's what we did with that area.
Yeah,
it has a bathroom exhaust.
She's house trained in that she is trained to go to a specific place and go to the bathroom on the pads.
Which is very nice for her, because that way, like before we go to bed, yeah, she'll like run downstairs, go to the bathroom, and because we have a camera in there and it lets us know alerts, we know when she has gone to the bathroom, like how long ago it has been since she had gone to the bathroom. But it's been very nice, and we're just getting used to her. Yes, a couple months ago she started sleeping in bed with us, which is very nice. She's had some accidents because she's still a puppy, but she's getting better, and like she's had maybe one accident a month now, or every 2 weeks, depending on the situation.
It's like once a month. And then a couple of the accidents she's had, it's like, that wasn't an accident, that was revenge, wasn't it? It's like, it was just like the context of the behavior was like, you're punishing us for a thing you didn't want us to do.
But of course, like most parents, we have spoiled her with a bunch of different toys.
He spoils her.
Yes.
He spoils her rotten.
She's a puppy.
She's a baby.
But this is her little robot that she like will follow around and chase after.
It's a cat toy.
It's a modified cat toy, but I just wanted something for her to interact with. And yeah, so this is Kai Pup Day. It's, you go to Kai Viking, it takes you to this playlist. I haven't put a video up there since October because video gaming, and I tend to do that. Like, the only reason I'm able to do these videos right now is because I've actually had a lull. I'm actually relatively caught up on a lot of my content, so I'm taking the time to do this. So maybe more puppy videos will come up soon. And she hasn't had a lot of firsts that much anymore. She's just growing up a little bit. She's not as that fluffy now. That's a lot of her puppy fur.
Yeah, she's got more. Her fur is more long and silky now.
But yeah, that's one of her many, many toys. So yeah, that's Kai Pup Date. We love her, and we're dealing with her, and we'll be dealing with her for a very long time.
Dealing with her.
In 2020, there was a presidential election, and just for fun, that was my first time voting in a presidential election. Now, we can go into details of that, but not too much, but it's when I feel that I maybe actually had a say, or my voice would be heard more.
That it would matter more.
That would matter more. In which case, due to that, I was like, well, let me see if I can get other people motivated, or they can explain to me why they vote. Like what motivates people to vote and what information they're going. And I kind of did a virtual door knocking of everybody on Facebook, in which case the people I didn't hear back from, I'm like, cool, either these people aren't on Facebook anymore or they don't want to interact with me. And I got rid of them. So now my Facebook's like maybe 25 people. But I was happy to interact with a bunch of people. Like, yes, I'm going to vote. I'm not even trying to persuade them to vote one way or another, just to make sure the vote, because I don't want anybody to say like, hey, I could have voted, or maybe it would have gone one way. And even some people I decided to have actually sit down talks with and create kind of a political time capsule of the day of like what motivates them to vote, or what do they care about, where are they getting information. And that was just kind of fun to talk to people and get their opinion of it. Not necessarily just persuade people, but just better understand each other. I think that's the main thing, is you can disagree, but at least understand why everybody's disagreeing, why it matters to them. And then we actually had the election. It's us getting going and voting, which was relatively quick. Yeah, it was extremely quick. We in and out. In which case, talking more about the election itself, we were happy to see the county that we were in had 1,000 more people go towards Biden than Trump. And I was very happy to see that for our county, considering how many flags and other Trump propaganda we saw flying around. But granted, our state still went Trump by like 300,000, which is still relatively close. And then, of course, Biden won by roughly 7 to 8 million. So our votes are still technically part of that bigger number to help showcase that. And I guess I'm not going to go into too much that happened in 2021 yet, even though like other stuff happened. But nonetheless, I voted. I was happy to vote. Continue voting. Could try to motivate other people to vote. I don't care which way they vote. Just hopefully they know what they're voting for, what they care about. Don't leave anything blank. Research the stuff, please.
And if you don't know where to find the information, a good thing, an easy thing that you can do is just find a group like the League of Women Voters or PETA or, whoever shares, some group that shares the same political opinions as you, and then find out what their opinions on the candidates or issues are. So, that way, if you find it difficult to, find all this information yourself, you can find a group whose opinions align with yours and, go with that.
I will say thank you to everybody who did put up with me and my political ramblings and who actually voted. And just continue voting this way. At the very least, even if your side doesn't win, you at least know that everybody who could have voted. So there's no question about if there's enough support from one side or the other.
And if your vote didn't matter, they wouldn't keep trying to take it away from you. So there's that.
Also, in 2020, we had the new console system, the PlayStation 5 and the new Xbox Series.
Oh yeah, that was the thing that happened.
So for the Xbox Series, I took time off to pre-order it to make sure I could definitely pre-order it. That was a fun venture as well.
Oh yeah, that was a snafu.
I then took time off, of course, to receive it at home and play it. But I will say I didn't have too much stress about ordering it. Well, I guess I was stressed, but I was able to easily order one because I did enough research and had 15 tabs open. But
you were prepared.
I will say this: nobody's missing out on the next-gen systems. There has still not been something that has blown me away visually or gameplay wise,
like a next gen console exclusive.
Yeah, even like a third party that blows me away. It doesn't exist. The idea is I do like the quality of life improvements, the quick resume and the solid state hard drive of being able to just quick load times, like Skyrim. The quick load times just blew me away. Fast traveling is like instantaneous almost. Like that is cool, but actually like fidelity in the game's looking great. It doesn't really blow me away. So they're not really missing much. And then the form factor for the Series X, it lives behind my TV. There's no easy way for me to store it somewhere close enough where I believe it will vent properly. So it is literally just behind my TV.
Yep.
But I don't put any discs in it because everything I've played is on Game Pass, except for GameFly. I think I mentioned in a previous video I did GameFly for $1 for a month and got, I guess I didn't mention the gaming one, I got the Assassin's Creed and the newest Call of Duty from that. So those were two games that weren't on Game Pass that I was able to play. But yeah, so like realistically, everything I play, I just download, and there's so much to download. But I'm an Xbox fanboy. I do support them, and I'm gonna keep throwing money at them. And luckily, they keep running deals where I had Game Pass paid through to like 2022, and now I have it paid through to 2024. So I will be constantly using that service, which gives me, if you look at my game reviews, I bought 3 games last year weren't from Game Pass. So I played 290-ish games.
You sure did.
From Xbox. From just Xbox Ultimate, from a subscription service that I had prepaid for like a year or two before, which is just crazy. Another thing that happened was Zoom. Zoom became a big part of a lot of our lives. We did Zoom holidays. So for like Thanksgiving and Christmas and birthdays and friends, we just Zoomed. And with our setup here, we could actually like sit on the floor with a camera, and we have multiple TVs so we could talk to people and still see them. They can see us. I recorded a lot of those just so I have like a time capsule or a home video. Remember those things of them? And I'm not gonna post them online or anything, but it's gonna be nice to look back at them 20, 30 years in the future and whatnot. But it's gonna be cool because I think with COVID in general, it helped push a lot of stuff. Like we never did online pickup from Walmart. We would have never normally done that at all. No. But this helped push us to do that.
Because I like going in the store and I like shopping.
But it's extremely convenient. It's just rolling up. They come out to your car within 5 minutes, throw everything in, then you're gone.
Yeah.
Like that's extremely convenient.
Like once it is safe to go into to stores and shop again, like I will, but I'll still do just like the Walmart pickup sometimes.
Well, like the bulk stuff.
Yeah.
Just do that, and then like specific runs go in. But like, because you just save so much time, and then of course ordering out, which we kind of already did. Like we don't eat inside that often.
No, we don't. We don't go to restaurants and like have dinner at Longhorns or lunch at Tijuana or something like that. We don't really do that.
And like another thing with COVID too, like it closed a lot of theaters, so a lot of theaters and basically a lot of the studios were like putting stuff on streaming first, and I love that. Like I don't like going to a theater. I don't like dealing with people.
You hate going to the theater.
Like it's not. It was like, oh, it's a better experience. I mean, you will easily at this point agree with like my home experience, video and audio experience is better than the movie theater.
In a lot of ways, yeah. There are a few movies.
Technically.
Like
From a technical standpoint.
From a technical standpoint, yeah, especially depending upon the theater and the quality of their projector and screens. Sometimes it's, like crap.
Yeah, but yes, from the social element of like everybody cheering the theater or clapping or crying or singing along.
The audio can be really impactful in a theater. It's the difference between listening to music on a high-end system at home as opposed to being at a concert. There is a different feeling. But no, the setup here is fantastic, and
but there's
pause things.
Yeah, you can pause things. That's what's nice.
You can pause things, and if the person next to you is being annoying, you can just swap them because it's me or you.
So there's some COVID stuff that happened. I think has accelerated a lot of industries, a lot of tech, and people like doing stuff. Even like with medical stuff, a lot of people doing like the Zoom telemedicine and whatnot.
Telemedicine, yeah.
And then even with kids, some kids having to do this distance learning.
Almost everyone.
Yeah, but the idea is that could be something people are going to want to do in the future. As a kid, I would probably have continued to want to do that.
Yeah, you would love that because you're like, everyone wants everything to get back to normal, and you're like, I like things how they are. I'm like, yeah, I know you do.
Like it fits a lot of introverts, and a lot of people are just like
introverts are just like, oh crap, wait, I have to go back to normal soon.
It's showing people how things could be that they might not have done. Yes, they were forced to do it for a while, but now they kind of have to do it.
Also, tons of industries being like, oh, working from home is not possible. Oh, wait, it is.
And they're saying that might save them money. So it's going to be very interesting after 2020 to see how things go. And Zoom played a big impact of that. Like, it was a lot of big facilitator for people doing that. Unfortunately, because of last year, we also had some friendly friends, parents.
Family of friends?
Friends, our friends, their family.
Family of friends.
Family
of friends.
Of friends. Anyway, people that we know, people and their family, unfortunately passed. Not ironically, it wasn't necessarily from COVID, or it wasn't directly linked to COVID. But I've had coworkers who, two of them had parents die.
My best friend's mom passed
away.
Unfortunately.
We also had not necessarily scares, but we had other family members in hospitals for like roughly terminal-ish type of scenarios. So it was a very rough year, along with everything else going on.
2020 was an extremely emotionally rough year.
And let's hope, once again, COVID wasn't necessarily to blame for all of them, but who knows if it played any factor leading to them for that.
They think it did with Angie's mom because they think she had COVID earlier in the year and it weakened her lungs.
That's the one thing, we don't know at this point in time. It's still
There's
early.
No way
we
to
don't
know.
Until how it could have domino down to something else we don't know the connection to.
I know.
On another note, just wrapping up what else kind of happened in 2020. YouTube content, because we watched a lot of content. I ended up getting into this guy called who has a channel called Demolition Ranch and Off the Ranch. He does a lot of shooting videos of guns into stuff and kind of a more technical, sciencey, physics type stuff.
It's funny. It's like, can this caliber weapon go through Play-Doh? Or it's like, how many concrete blocks does is it bulletproof?
That's a very basic premise, and I don't like guns that much, but I find his content extremely.
You have always hated guns, and now you're like, should I get a shotgun? And I'm like, for what?
A broken shotgun. Nonetheless, the idea is I find it very entertaining, and then once I find out he's a small businessman and what he's actually doing on his behind the scenes stuff, I grew to appreciate what he does.
He doesn't seem like he's a bad person either.
No, he does not like one of these YouTuber kid type things like he did. Now, there's probably some things I don't agree with him with, like you do with most people, but I can respect what he has done. With
and you
his
like
life.
his skits that
Yeah, and he does
at the
like
beginning
skits
of all
and
these
stuff,
things
which
are
is
really
nice.
funny.
The other thing I got into earlier in the COVID thing as content was marble runs. Jabil's marble runs of like
Jelly.
Yeah, jellies. I'm sorry. Racing marbles and stuff, which you maybe have seen variations of, and I thought those were very entertaining. But then once we saw more other TV content and stuff happen, we started going towards that. But that was kind of fun to watch those type of things. I mean, you found them moderately entertaining.
You're like, pick a team.
Who's mine? Ducks. I would go with the
Yeah,
Ducks.
you're like the Green Ducks.
Green Ducks.
I like the Oceanics.
That's right.
I like any of the blue ones.
Hey, puppy.
But yeah, that was 2020. I mean, a lot of other stuff also happened.
A ton of things.
A ton of stuff happened.
A
We
ton
won't
of
go
bad
into it
things
too much.
happened.
Maybe maybe like it'd be kind of cool to see like do like a retrospective in 10 years, like talking about 2020 or what we thought about it, and look at this and whatnot.
Your dad got a terrible diagnosis.
Yes, that's part of the whole family Tyrrell stuff. But yeah, we got through it. I think yay. But the idea is we consider ourselves extremely very fortunate. We are extremely thankful that our work adapted to a degree, and we were able to get that time off. A lot of people didn't. That stimulus money we were also given, despite us still having our jobs, which was very nice. Like, we definitely appreciate that. That's how I was able to get an Xbox and a puppy. How you were able to kind of get a new car. Like, we definitely were thankful for that money.
Like, a bunch of terrible things happened last year, but like a bunch of good things also happened to us, like specifically.
Yeah, so it's kind of weird.
It was a very, very mixed bag for.
But yes, but that's our life events for 2020. Majority COVID was the big thing, but the puppy was probably the biggest thing that we kind of did, and now she's feeling that we're ignoring her too much.
What?
But
Talking about.
as always, we'd like to thank everybody for watching, and we will catch you next time.